Thiessen, a former speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing all right. I guess you've got Michelle Bachmann, who wants to blame the president. You've got those on the left, including Steve Israel, the DCCC. He's blaming the Tea Party. Some are blaming the S&P. Who do you feel is to blame here?
Well, the idea that the Tea Party is responsible is pretty much laughable. Look, if the foundation of your house is being eaten away by termites, and somebody shows up and points out the problem and forces you to deal with it, they're not the ones who are responsible for your house value going down. The termites are. Okay? The reason that we've been downgraded is because our debt is unsustainable and it's eating away at the foundation of our economy. And the Tea Party are the only ones who've put forward any plan to deal with it. President Obama, remember, his original plan was a clean debt limit increase, not doing anything. So the S&P is complaining this deal didn't go far enough, but Obama didn't want to do anything about it. He introduced a budget that tripled the national debt 5 months ago.
Well, also, the S&P is saying, look, this AA plus status may get even less. It could be, double A, just plain AA. We could be just going down a couple notches because they just don't feel that they have the faith in our government. I mean, the indictment of the government on both sides in that press release was pretty unbelievable. What were your feelings about that? You think they're on target?
They said that that there was gridlock and that it was an ugly process, and they're absolutely right. But realize that if we wanted it to go smoothly, what would have happened is nothing. President Obama wanted a clean debt limit increase. That was his starting position. When he came into office, he started spending government money, the people's money, like a drunken sailor, from the first stimulus to Obamacare to this now. He wanted to triple the national debt for $10 trillion over 10 years just 5 months ago. It was the Tea Party who came in and said, whoa, stop that. We're not going to spend the people's money that way. We're going to tackle this debt. And so, yeah, there's resistance. It was ugly, but we've made a first step in the right direction.
For many of those on the left, it's obvious to cite President Reagan as a guy who turned the economy around, who was reelected, who got things moving. But what do you think of the references made by President Obama and so many on the left to President Reagan? Is there any commonality there?
Well, I always love it when the left praises Ronald Reagan because they opposed everything he did when he was actually president. So now that he's no longer with us and can't defend himself, they embrace him. The reality is when the left praises Ronald Reagan, it's always a backhanded compliment. They say he was the great communicator, which basically means that he was able to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people with that twinkle in his eye and a few Irish jokes. The reason Ronald Reagan was a great communicator is because he communicated great ideas. When he came in, our economy was in the dumps, and he proposed a clear philosophy of getting government out of the way, lowering taxes, and unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit of America. And it worked. And people agreed with him, and they agreed with the results. Barack Obama has a clear philosophy, too. More government, more spending. Americans don't agree with his philosophy, and it's not working.
So do you think this is repelling? The Wall Street Journal says the president has been obsessing on Ronald Reagan the past few months. I mean, is this something that is repelling Americans?
I don't know if it's repelling Americans or not, but it's not working. Look, the American people do not. Barack Obama's problem is when Ronald Reagan ran for re-election, he ran on a theme of mourning in America because the economic policies he unleashed in 1981 turned the economy around. Barack Obama's economic policies have dug us deeper into the ditch that he keeps talking about. More spending, more government is not solving our economic problems, and so he can't campaign on a theme of mourning in America the way Ronald Reagan did.